Okay, a final point that they make is that paleontological studies are studies of the past, and sometimes they are simply statements of what happened from this point to this point to this point to this point with a kind of explanatory model woven in. Can you replicate that in a laboratory? No. Can you demonstrate that your theory is true through experimentation? No. And can you apply the principle of falsification, which is sacred to some people's, philosophers of science, definition of a minimal standard for science? In fact, no. So again, they're right about something else. Now we're going to move on to their arguments in favor of creationism. And this, for material evidence, there's absolutely zero. Now, there were some footprints of dinosaurs found in the Paluxy River Valley of, just west of Fort Worth. And they were supposed to be in the same deposit as human footprints. Well, even the staunchest creationists have realized that that's bogus. And they don't want even the creationists to use that in arguments because it's so preposterous. And then the hunks of wood that have been always noticed on Mount Ararat and aerial photos from these lost World War II pilots. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff. And they lost the aerial photos too. Well, anyway, even these are seldom used in arguments because there isn't any evidence. And nobody brought back the hunk of wood. And what's that about? And there aren't any photographs. I mean, it's all just nonsense. And they realize that. So they're not going to pull this stuff into debates. Now here comes one that is somewhat compelling. Some systems are irreducibly complex, and this was used with some success, great success, to recruit followers of intelligent design. Systems that are irreducibly complex. That means that if we're following a kind of a Darwinian logic of natural selection, you'd have to argue that each stage in the development of some organ or some body part would have itself been adaptive at some, in a sort of half-baked way. So their favorite example is the flagellum of a bacterium. Whoa, it spirals around. How could it be adaptive if it only half spiraled around? Or how could it be adaptive if the flagellum was only half as long, or something like that? And then the eye, the mammalian eye. These, frankly, are very compelling to me because I think it's worth asking such questions. However, for each of the examples that the intelligent design people have pulled out, there are good counter-arguments. Here's another one. The universe seems to have been made specially for us. This is part of a new conversation on the anthropic principle. The latest issue of Discover magazine has an article that you might want to read. It's a whoa article. Now, it pulls in all kinds of things that I don't understand, like string theory and dark matter and dark energy, and I'm boggled by all of this. But many intelligent design advocates are taking this and saying, see, the universe was created for us. So I stop and think of what would be a similar sort of situation if you're thinking that there might be 10 to the 100th power of universes out there that might be in existence. And what would be a good counter example? You won the lottery. You won $10 million in the lottery. And there were 10 million people, each of whom put their $1 in, so somebody was going to win. There was a 100% chance that someone was going to win the lottery, but when it was you, you say to yourself, gosh, there must be a God, and I'm the blessed one, and this is perfect for me, and this only confirms my faith. Well, you see that all the time out there where people are the one survivor of some hideous accident, and they say there must be a God. Well, never mind. Okay, there's another argument that I put under the heading of in favor of creation, and that is there's a worldview difference between people who are supernaturalists, especially Bible believers, and the worldview of people who are naturalist, and philosophically naturalistic people. And there's a character out there that fascinates me. His name is Kurt Wise. And he is a very outspoken creationist, a young Earth creationist, student of Stephen Jay Gould, Ph.D. at Harvard, Phi Beta Kappa. I mean, I don't know what his credentials are. Not a dumb guy. And he went off and became the supreme advocate of young Earth creationism, now teaching at Bryan College, named after William Jennings Bryan, and it is in Dayton, Tennessee. Because on his deathbed, William Jennings Bryan said, gasping for air, having completely been massacred in some sense at the Scopes trial, he said, I'm dying, but I want my fortune to go toward a college here in Dayton. And that was the end of William Jennings Bryan, but the beginning of the college. Another point that creationists make with great success, they say children are better off growing up in a faith-based, Bible-believing household. Well, I've never raised children, but my sister raised my nephew over there. What a harrowing experience to raise children in this day and age and see that there's a minefield out there. Who is it, which parent is there who doesn't want to just reduce the threats to their children turning out okay, hanging with the wrong crowd, drugs, alcoholism, car accidents? It's all very scary. If you can possibly keep a handle on your kids a little bit longer, even if it's through believing in certain types of hard and fast rules and not questioning authority, who among us wouldn't be tempted to try to get a little bit of that kind of control? So I can sympathize with that. Then comes that the supernatural is a perfectly valid alternative to natural explanations. A clever lawyer named Philip Johnson wrote Darwin on Trial and several other books, and is the main legal backer of intelligent design. He's a smart guy, and he knows exactly how to argue with people who claim that they're open-minded. He says, you're open-minded. You're not open-minded if you refuse to accept the possibility that the supernatural could be part of an explanatory model. And you know, a lot of people are flummoxed by this. They go, gosh, yeah, gee, wouldn't want to be narrow-minded, would I? But, and then part of this is, he might even use the logic, the unfettered freedom to pursue all sorts of alternative explanations. You get a lot of people stroking their chin and saying, yeah, maybe he's got a good point there. We wouldn't want to cramp anyone's style, and we wouldn't want to cramp the style of teachers out there, and we all hold academic freedom as a great sacred goal. Why not let the science teachers put in guardian angels and leprechauns if they want to? Why not? And finally, it's all about fairness after all. If you're going to teach one side of an issue, you have to balance it, right, with some other side of an issue. So that's another very good buzzword to use if you're a creationist. You want fairness and open-mindedness, don't you? We all say, well, yeah, I guess we do. And so you win the debate that way.